Welcome back to Cryptopia, where we go over the wet and wild happening in NFT land. Don't forget to like and subscribe on your way in. So typically, well, even during the week, sometimes I go over articles, but mostly I do it on the weekend. This weekend, I'm kind of focusing on the new NFT series that I'm trying to get out. So I figure I'll just go over some articles here today. Nothing crazy, but this one in particular has been something I've been kind of saying in my videos. I guess I haven't been saying it outwardly that 98% of NFT projects will fail. But when I go through projects, the big question I always ask is, what they promise, are they going to be able to deliver on it? Most of the time it's no, and Gary Vee agrees. Now, 2% in such a big space as NFTs it's still going to be a significant amount, but 98% is significantly more. So Gary Vee says 98% of NFT projects will fail after the gold rush fades. Here's why two experts think he might be right. You don't even need experts, man. It's obvious. It's really obvious. If you have been around the crypto market and the NFT market long enough, you can see like most of these cryptocurrencies are also going to fail. A lot of them are going to fail as well. There are tons. There are literally like millions of them. So Gary Vee is not shy about his bullishness for NFTs, but he thinks there's a downturn coming for the sector. In an interview with CNBC, the entrepreneur and CEO of Vayner Media liked the current NFT craze to the likened it to the .com era stock market boom of the early 2000s. I would agree. This is the internet stock 1999, he says. When asked about the current NFT landscape, I put out content every week saying that 98% of NFT projects are going to zero. Most of the behavior I see in NFT buying reminds me of the way people bought Beanie Babies. This is something I see a lot of when I go over these projects, and everyone, I understand that when I put out my clickbaity title of scams, people get mad. I understand that. But it's when I look at these projects and I really get into the fundamentals, even though it's like I'm just looking at their site, I'm like, the site alone is enough to tell me like just how badly either like it's constructed or worded, or like how they just sort of skirt some of the details that they really should be putting in is enough to tell me. I'm like, yeah, I don't, if you're trying to judge 2%, you're definitely not PR to that 2%. Is what I see when I see a lot of these projects. What I buy is typically art that I just like. So they're just looking to collect cool, kooky, weird stuff. I don't typically flip because I'm just like, I'd rather just gather some crazy art NFTs that I can maybe put somewhere eventually. In March 2000, when all these internet stocks, which were grossly overrated and collapsed, Amazon was sitting there at $7 or $8 per share. The same thing will play out in the NFT space, he says. I don't know how to say his last name, so I'm just going to call him Gary. Gary, who has a 2.9 million Twitter followers, is the creator behind the popular NFT series VeeFriends. The price for a single VeeFriend NFT is currently 13.25 ETH. Goddamn. $41,000. That's a lot, bro. He believes it's still in the early days for digital assets. He urges investors to recognize that currently things don't make sense, but eventually the NFTs will become an influential and established market. I agree. And that's sort of what I'm here waiting for. I'm waiting to see the cream of the crop rise. I'm waiting to see what's going to really wow the world and really start making some changes. But that's exactly why I want to get into the new series that I'm working on of NFTs taking over the world, or how NFTs are taking over music, or how NFTs are taking over fashion, for example. Those are two of the subject matters that I'm trying to cross over. Jonathan Victor, business development lead for NFTs for Web3 company Protocol Labs, agrees that things are just getting started for the NFT space. Much of the utility, he says, will be seen once people stop focusing on the term NFT. Yeah, okay. People will stop talking about NFTs as NFTs, and the focus will shift to what they actually offer, Victor told insiders. Instead of just, fixating on the term, we'll look at what the digital object can do for us. And that's exactly what you have to look at, I think. I mean, even now I'm trying to look at that, but a lot of what I see in there, and it's not just like us, it's like, oh, the floor is going to the moon, because that's like every project says, the floor is going to the moon, the floor is going to the moon. It's like, This is what I hate when I look at projects and I'm like, but what are you doing? Like, I get that you want to get to the moon. I get that you have some celebrities backing you and whatever, but what are you doing and how are you going to get there? Because that's really what's going to determine how you survive or not. Just saying you're going to the floor and having some celebrities talk about you isn't necessarily enough. It could still work, but, a lot of projects are doing this. Just saying you have a Marvel animator working on your NFTs don't mean nothing, man. If you've been on this channel enough, you've seen literally almost every single project I talk about has a freaking Marvel, designer doing the art. Because an NFT has built-in proof of ownership on the blockchain, Victor explains how vaccine cards could have been improved if they were NFTs. Okay, whatever. Then, then people could have proof of who issued it, who it was assigned to, and the date and time it was given, all while minimizing the risk of fake cards. That's true, though. That is true. That is actually a very useful thing that they could have done with NFTs. For the same reason, he expects events or sports tickets to transition to NFTs too. We kind of already saw this with the Super Bowl. They also came with, like, I think, cool little animations or thing, because they weren't just like, standard tickets. They kind of glowed and stuff like that, which is really cool and something that you can keep and collect, which I know a lot of people were and did. Soon, NFTs will just be things we use in a time where everything will be digital, and inoperable. I agree with that. We'll eventually get less excited about the term NFT and the people who even think about items as NFTs anymore. That could very much happen. Similarly, Eric Chan, CEO and co-founder of decentralized trading platform Injective Labs, never heard of it, said there's a lot of noise in the NFT space that distract from the utility of the digital asset. In time, he anticipates a broad adoption of the technology. The marketplace became overwhelmed, Chan wrote to the Insider on email. Most of these NFT projects with little differentiation or innovation will likely die over time. And that's another big thing that I say every time I have a project. They're all doing the same bloody thing. What makes you think you're going to stand out? Now, being a good business man or woman, like having the proper business acumen, when you have that kind of team, that helps a lot. Having, actual, assets that you can show the people, like, hey, we're working on this and this is where we've come so far, is great. A lot of entities are pitching the idea of becoming that. They're more like crowdfunding than anything else. And that's cool and that's fine. I don't know the actual numbers on this, how many crowdfunded projects really, take over the world and go to the moon. I'm sure they work, but like, how many really get anywhere, right? So NFTs used to be a term only familiar to small groups of users. We've already seen the metaverse concept and the NFT sector being validated by large traditional tech companies. I think it will slowly grow to become part of everyone's daily life. I think it will be less flashy. Yeah. V predicts that the short-term greed behavior he is seeing in the space will lead to an NFT downturn. After the dust settles, he expects a handful of operators to come out of the other side to make remarkable returns. In 2021, the NFT market ballooned to about 41 billion in sales, about the same size as the traditional art market, and celebrities and pro athletes continue to pour into. Yep, that's pretty much what it is. And I agree with Gary about that. I'm kind of looking forward to this downturn, because you're going to see everything kind of go away. And then I talk about a lot of projects, and even then there's so many projects, I can't even talk about all of them. I want to start seeing kind of how the changes of our everyday world is going to become. You know what I mean? I hope it's a little flashy, because that would be more interesting for my channel. But you never know with these kinds of things. You never know how the technology is just going to warp and change things. But that's what I'm here to really see, and that's what I'd like to see. So, guys, remember, everyone who knows 98% of these projects are gonna go to nothing. Even when you get, buy stuff that you just think is cool and you want to keep and you want to use in like your house or something like that, or if you really believe in the project and it's offering you something like a video game or something like that, then sure. But if it's really just another basey rip, is it really going to be the one that's going to moon, is going to be worth your money? Maybe you can flip it if you're early, but you don't want to be the guy getting flipped on and you got nothing. Unless you like the image, then by all means. Or the animation, like the invisible friend stuff. Kind of like that stuff. All right, guys, thanks for watching. That's all I got. Just that one article I wanted to go over just because this video's also 10 minutes. But, this expressed a lot of the stuff that I do think about on a regular basis. And I try to sort of say in my videos, but I guess I don't outwardly say it. But there you have it. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.